Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Nabila, and today I'm really excited to talk about everything that I made in 2025. I can't believe how fast this year went by, but I am so proud of everything that I made this year. If you are new to my channel, I do rework clothing that I have in my wardrobe already or that I've thrifted, but I also sew things from scratch. I'm really interested in developing into my own personal style, and one of my goals in investing in my personal style is to get as much wear out of my clothing as I can. So as I go through this list, I will also talk about how often I have worn a piece. So for this video, I have broken my projects into 3 categories. So the first category is I'm calling my design or redesign category. Because I work with a lot of clothing that I have thrifted or I already have in my wardrobe, sometimes I feel like it's cheating to have it in my completed projects, even though it is something that I worked on this year. So if I did a lot of design work, then I'm calling it a redesign. You probably don't care about the categories, but it just makes sense for my brain. So the first project of this year is what I call my art teacher button-up. It is a white button-up that I already had in my wardrobe that I added colorful rickrack to. This button-up was sitting in my closet for a while and I hadn't even worn it once. So I added this rickrack to it that I actually bought from Joann's right before they closed. So this project is also kind of like a Joann's memoriam project. Just a side note, I can't believe we lost Joann's this year. I want to make more videos about how to get into sewing without Joann's, because I obviously feel really sad that this store that helped a lot of people get into sewing just no longer exists. And I really hope to see Michaels do better in implementing the selection of fabric that Joann's had, but I honestly don't really see that happening. I mean, I don't know where they have room for it. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit off track. So I added this rickrack all over this button-up, and in that video I talked about how I was a little worried about washing this button-up after the fact because the rickrack is polyester and the button-up is cotton, and I didn't pre-wash the rickrack or anything like that, but I have washed this a couple times and it looks totally fine. I think one thing that I'm learning about myself is I am just generally scared of wearing like a stark white. I'm much more comfortable wearing like a cream or an off-white, much like a real art teacher. But yeah, I have worn this a handful of times, so that is obviously way more than I wore it when it was a plain white button-up, so I think this one was a success. Okay, the next project I'm gonna talk about is this upcycled top. It was originally a t-shirt dress, and then I kind of cut it up and changed some things. So now it is this top with this kind of like asymmetrical like ruffle piece that is really funky and cool. And this one is a little bit complicated for me. I really love how this came out, but I still have not worn this out. I have tried this top on in my closet a couple of times, and then at the last minute I end up changing. I think it has to do with the neckline. I'm not really crazy about how open the neckline is, and also I don't know if the color looks great on me, and additionally the fabric is a little bit thin, and so I think that I just don't enjoy like the feeling of the fabric. But yeah, I'm so torn on if I should just go ahead and try dyeing this piece, because I do think the color had a lot to do with it, but obviously that wouldn't change the neckline or how thick the fabric is. I'm kind of bummed actually that I haven't worn it because I really like the concept of this. It just isn't something that I'm reaching for, or even when I am reaching for it, I end up changing at the last minute. But let me know what you think about this top. Do you think that I should try dyeing it and see if I wear it more, or do you think I should just cut this up into rags or something, because clearly I'm not wearing it and it is 100% cotton, so it would make for great rags at the same time. So I don't know. Let me know what you think about this design. Okay, sorry for the really obvious lighting change. I felt like I was losing my light, so I turned on this light that I got to film with. I'm still playing around with it, and sometimes I feel like it looks like too bright. So sorry if it just looks like overexposed or something. Bear with me while I figure out how this lighting works. But anyway, the next project that I want to talk about are these brown pants. And this was a really tough project for me, but it was super important to finish. and I'm really proud of myself for finishing it. If you didn't watch the video where I worked on these pants, basically it was tough for a number of different fit reasons. I just feel like the design choice that I had in mind didn't really match the weight of this fabric. I ended up making the best of it, and it did actually end up okay. I actually am happy with the final result of this project, but even in saying that, I have only worn these pants in the house and I haven't worn them out. I do feel like I should change that. But yeah, I really like how these pants came out. The pin tucks were really tedious, but they look so good. And I just feel like I learned a lot from this project. And actually this brown fabric is some fabric that I bought from Joann's the day that they made the announcement that some of the stores were closing. So I bought like several yards of this fabric because I was afraid that it was gonna go out of stock, and I had been eyeing it for a while. And I do think I have enough of this fabric to make another pair of pants with it. I'm thinking like flared, like 70s style pants. But yeah, I'm still like kind of daydreaming about that. Let me know what you would make with some brown twill. And maybe I can get some inspiration from the comments. I just feel like I was trying to do a lot with my design and I needed to actually pare it down a little bit. Another reason why I only wear these inside the house is the elastic waistband in the back kind of fits me a little bit weirdly. Like I feel like it should be a little bit tighter, or I think that maybe I should have a kind of a drawstring in the front so that I can kind of tighten these pants, because they are just loose enough to where if I put something like my phone in my pocket, it kind of drags the pants down, and I don't really love how that looks. Maybe that would also be helped with adding some like belt loops or something. I really need to figure out how to make these so that I will actually want to wear them outside of the house, because I feel like they should be seen by the public and not just the inside of my house. So that pair of pants leads me nicely to these pair of pants. These are the Lane pants that I made with this beautiful rainbow plaid from Blackbird Fabrics. This was probably my favorite fabric to work with this year. It's just so fun and it brought me a lot of joy. In working on these pants, I learned about top down, center out, which was so massively helpful. That really leveled up my skills when it comes to pant fitting. And I want to use what I learned from these pants and bring them into maybe redesigning or reworking the kind of design concept I had for those brown pants. But yeah, I am so happy that I found top down, center out. It's gonna help me so much in the future. And I even think I wanna make like a dedicated video just talking about the method, because I really think that it deserves more of a spotlight, because it really saved me when I found out about it. If you watch the video where I made the Lane pants, you'll know that I struggled a little bit with fit, but then I figured it out with top down, center out. And I did receive some comments saying that maybe I should have just sized up. I actually don't think that would have helped me completely solve the fit issues that I was having with this pattern. And one thing about me is I don't really love super wide pants on myself. So I think sizing up would have made me not like the fit of the pants actually in the end. I just think it's really important to learn how to have good fit for your patterns. You can't expect every pattern to fit you right out of the box. I just feel like our bodies are all unique, and so it's just hard to fit specifically pants where it has to fit in a certain way, and we also have our own preferences. So I just really appreciate the top down, center out method for teaching me how to fit pants a little bit more easily. And I also really appreciate that the method is so body neutral, because if you look at pattern fit adjustments, they all have names that are like kind of negative towards your body. And so I just really appreciate that with the top down, center out method, I can just maneuver the fabric and get the pants to fit how I want them to. And now that I have tweaked that pattern, I can use that in the future to make more Lane pants. And actually, I think I will. I actually bought some fabric that has come in recently that I am really excited to make a couple more Lane pants with. And that might be my first video for the new year, so keep an eye out for that. The next project that I want to talk about is this purple rugby tee. I have worn this quite a bit, surprisingly, but also not surprisingly if you think about how this is another version of the Free People Inspired tee. similar to the one that I made last year, which is still one of the projects that I wear like the most frequently. But yeah, I just love this. It's so comfortable. It's also so bright and fun. One of my favorite outfit combinations is wearing this with like a dusty blue athletic skirt. The skirt is more of a blue, but I feel like it leans like purple in this outfit. But yeah, I just love how this came out. I will say I am thinking about covering up the logo here because it makes me feel like I'm wearing like a work polo or something. So I think I might try to cover it during my winter break. The embroidery is super tight, so I'm a little bit worried that if I remove the embroidery, it will like damage the fabric. So I think I'll just use some of the scrap that I have from this shirt and just kind of do like a seamless patch here. It might look a little bit funny, but I think that if you're not looking too closely, you won't notice. So I guess stay tuned on that cover up. If you didn't watch the video in which I thrift flipped this shirt, this was originally a Tiger Woods golf shirt. So it is super comfortable and breathable. And I think that's why I keep gravitating towards it. It is just such a comfortable and really fun shirt to wear. Okay, the next project that I want to talk about is probably my favorite project of the year. It is my Halloween vest with all this little applique and patchwork details. It is just so cute and so fun. Honestly, I only got to wear this once this year, but I'm so excited for fall of next year so I can continue to wear this vest. It is so cute and so fun. I'm really itching to make another vest in general because this was such a cute addition to a somewhat plain outfit. I wore this vest when I went to a pumpkin patch with some friends, and I just wore a gray long sleeve shirt underneath it with a velvet circle skirt, also one that I made years ago. And so the outfit itself was kind of like a simple outfit, but when I added this vest to it, it just made it something more fun. It was just really cool to use a bunch of different stitches in my machine too and play around with applique, which I have never really done before. In the video, I actually hadn't added this tie yet, but I added it literally like a couple minutes before I had to leave for the pumpkin patch. I really like how it cinched everything in and it just made everything look so much better. I also really want to make a Christmas one, but I'm not sure if I have time to make a long form video on that. So I might do a short form series maybe on making a Christmas vest. Kind of along the same lines of quilting and patchwork is my quilted table runner. This project is probably the one I'm most proud of because I was super intimidated to try quilting because it's just something new. I had a friend who was kind of confused by me saying that I was intimidated to try this because they were like, well, you have been sewing for so many years. What do you mean this is something new? And I feel like if you don't know much about quilting, it might be easy to write it off as something easy, but actually the act of quilting is so precise, and I have a lot of respect for quilters because I feel like in apparel sewing, if something is slightly off, it's not really a big deal because our bodies are just our bodies. But on a quilt, you want to make everything like lay perfectly, and it feels more like a science, I guess. Another reason why I was super intimidated to make this is because quilters use very specific tools to help them get very precise seams and measurements, but I just didn't have a lot of those tools. So I was worried it was gonna look off in the final product, but I actually think I did okay. As a recovering perfectionist, it was just really scary to work on something when I just didn't have everything I needed to make it exactly right. So yeah, I am really proud that I gave quilting a try, and maybe next year I will make a full-size quilt. The last of the new design pieces is this flower mini twist bag. This is a Roberts Wood pattern that I was really excited to work on. I am so happy with how this project came out. I made it as a wearable toile because I kind of want to make this as a daily wear bag for me, but I used some more fancy fabrics that I had in my stash so that I could wear this to a wedding, and I got a ton of wear out of it at that wedding. I am really glad that I got to give it a good test run because there are some things that I want to tweak when I make this bag in the future. So for example, the ties I thought were going to be okay, but actually at the wedding I found it kind of annoying to untie and retie every single time that I wanted to get inside this bag. So I think I would just replace this with a zipper. And another thing that I would tweak is I think I would tack down these petals, just do like a small tack at the ends of it, because I really found it annoying that these petals would flop down, and that might be due to the fact that I didn't use interfacing on all the petals, but still I feel like the ones that I did use fusible on flop around a little bit, and it makes like the design look less cool. So I want to make sure that it looks the neatest it can. So I think that I would tack it in the future, and maybe I will go ahead and tack it on this bag as well. Also, if I were to make this a daily wear bag for me, I think I would make this bag a little bit bigger, and I was just kind of brainstorming on how I would accomplish that. And I was thinking about maybe making like a middle panel here, because these are just two flat pieces sewn together. So if it just had a little middle panel here, it would help me be able to carry all my junk around in this bag. So this is definitely a project I'll be making again, just in a different kind of variation where I remix the pattern a little bit and tweak it to be more of what I want for my daily carry bag. Okay, the next section is all my mends and alterations. So the first major alteration that I did is I cropped like 4 or 5 t-shirts. And this might seem like a pretty simple thing, just cropping your t-shirts, but because I am pretty petite, cropping my shirts so they fit me at a more intentional length was honestly such a game changer. And because I really like wearing t-shirts, I feel like an easy way to elevate them is to make them fit me correctly. And actually, one time I was wearing just a super simple outfit. It was just brown pants with a brown orangish shirt, the one that I cropped in that video. And I was at a doctor's appointment, and the nurse complimented me on my brown outfit, and maybe she was just making conversation, but I think that the reason why the outfit kind of stood out is because it was actually kind of tailored to my body's proportions. So yeah, I feel way more confident in my t-shirts now that they are the correct length, and I want to continue to make sure that when I'm bringing in new shirts that they are the correct length for me, because it really is a game changer for my personal style. And I pulled out specifically this shirt to show in this video, because for this shirt specifically, I didn't wear it much when it was a longer length, but now that I have cropped it, it is one of my most worn t-shirts, simply because it is the correct length for me now. The next couple mends I did real quick in this one video where I was trying to get through my mend pile. It's this brown bag, this yellow skirt, and these black pants, and these mends are always worth it. The bag is getting a lot of use. The skirt has not been worn yet, but I really should wear it soon. And the black pants I have worn a couple of times. I forgot to pull them for this video, but yeah, mends are always a great use of time, especially when you're going to then get a lot of use out of those items. The next alteration is just a quick hem on these green pants, and I have been wearing this a lot actually since I've hemmed it. One of my favorite outfits that I wore this year was with these green pants. I wore these pants, and then on top I wore the sweater vest that I knit last year. It was green and it had these flower daisies on it, and it was such a cute outfit. The vest was 100% wool, so it kept me really warm on top, and it was perfect for the weather that day. And I actually noticed that a lot of people were looking at me in this outfit that day because I wore it to kind of a busy place, and I don't know if they were looking at me because I actually wore it on a trail, so there were a lot of people in like athletic clothes. So since I was in a more dressy outfit, I feel like I kind of stood out for that reason. Or maybe they were just looking at me because it was a super cheerful outfit. That's what I'm gonna go with. But yeah, I'm really glad I found these pants and that I got to alter them to fit me perfectly. The next project I want to talk about was in the same video as those green pants, and it's this pink paisley long sleeve shirt. And this was a alteration because I cropped it, but then also it had a little bit of damage on one of the sleeves, which I can't even see right now. I guess that's a testament to how seamless my mend was. Oh, I finally found it. It was right underneath the underarm. I'm so glad that I found this piece at the thrift store so that I could alter it and make it into something that I actually do wear quite a lot, especially in the summer because it's a pretty thin material. And I actually got that top inspired by the Paisley episode from Articles of Interest. I highly recommend that podcast, by the way. But one thing about listening to that podcast is you will be influenced to buy everything that they talk about. So they had a whole episode on the history of Paisleys, and that made me want to just add more Paisley into my wardrobe, because before I got this top, I don't think I had anything in a Paisley print, and I was really excited to add it for that reason. But yeah, they talk about the history of a ton of different things in fashion, like corduroy, Hawaiian shirts, plaid. I really recommend that podcast. And then the next little tweak alteration that I did was making this gym shirt just a little bit bigger by adding these panels in the side. And I'm so glad I did this because the shirt is so much more comfortable now, and it just feels so good to not have to buy something new and just change something that I already have. So yeah, I want to do this to more of my gym shirts because this isn't the only one that's a little bit tight on me. And I do get a lot of wear out of this because it is really comfortable now. So I'm reaching for this one more than my other shirts. So I really do need to alter more of my gym shirts so that they all will fit me nicely. And then the last project for this category are the pillows that I made. This is just one of the pair of pillows. And this was such an easy project, but really rewarding because I use these pillows on my couch when I'm knitting to put it in my lap and reduce wrist strain while I'm knitting. And if you know anything about knitting, you'll know that that is super important. And I get a lot of compliments on these pillows whenever someone comes over, so I just think that they are perfect. If you didn't watch the video where I made these pillows, I made the pillowcase from a leftover quilt that I cut up for a house coat last year. And then the inner part is actually an old pillow that I cut into half so that I could make a set of pillows. And yeah, it came out perfect. And that pillow didn't really serve me anymore. So it was a great way to reuse something to something that was really functional because I actually didn't have any pillows on my couch. So I'm really pleased with this project. Even though it was super simple, it was so totally worth it for me to do. And then for my last section of projects, I want to talk about my knitting projects, which I don't always film for my channel, but I usually do my knitting in the evenings in my downtime. But I am still really proud of the knit projects that I did this year, so I want to talk about them. So the funny thing about me talking about these projects actually is I haven't completely finished any of the projects that I'm about to talk about, but I think that's just a thing when it comes to knitting, at least for me. So the first project I want to talk about is a little Sophie scarf dupe. It is the Simple Things pattern, and it's basically the free version of the Sophie scarf. And it's so cute, but I have not weaved this last little strand in yet, and for that reason I have not worn it. I started this project actually because I was going on a trip and I wanted a small knitting project to work on while I was away, and this was perfect for that. And it's something that I'm excited to wear in the winter. Actually, on that trip I restarted this a couple of times because I wasn't liking the shape. I altered the shape from what the pattern actually said. I think the pattern increases every 2 rows and I increased every 3 or 4 rows, something like that. I need to get better at writing down the changes that I make to a pattern because I feel like it's all in my head until it's not. So yeah, I really need to get better at doing that. But this was such a fun project to work on. And even though I restarted it a couple times, I never got like frustrated because it's so small and easy to work on. So yeah, this was perfect for what I needed it for, and I'm really excited to wear it. I just need to weave in this one end and then I can wear it. And then my next project is the project that basically took up my entire year, and it is the Handsome Chris sweater, which is based on the sweater from Knives Out that I have knit up for my husband. Now I've knit the front and back panels and I've attached those together, and I have knit up both sleeves, but I have not seamed them together. I just freshly blocked them the other day, so I'm hopefully gonna seam those up before the end of the year. That's kind of the goal that I have in my head, so I can give this to my husband maybe for our anniversary. Yeah, I am so proud of this project. I learned so much about cables, and this was definitely so far the longest I've taken on a knit project, but I think the end result is gonna be so perfect, and I'm really excited to seam up those pieces. I'm really proud of myself for sticking with it for this long. I just need to seam it and weave in the ends, and I will be officially done with this sweater, which is just such a good feeling. And the last knit project that I wanted to talk about is the one that I am currently working on, which is the Rhodes sweater by Ozetta. So far it looks like this. I am working on the sleeves now, and I'm working on the sleeves 2 at a time because that works better for my brain. But after such a complicated cable project, I thought that I would really enjoy a simple sweater like this in just one color. And actually when I got to the body of the sweater, I was finding it kind of boring actually. And so I'm really excited to finish this sweater up so that I can work on a colorwork piece. I kind of want to use up the leftover green, white, and yellow yarn that I had from the daisy vest that I made last year into like another vest, maybe like a striped vest, since I'm seeing people make a bunch of striped sweaters. So I want kind of that similar feel without so much yarn being used, since I'm just using like what I have left over. So yeah, I don't think this will take me too long to work up. And I am really enjoying learning more about like shaping from this sweater. And the yarn that I'm using is a merino wool blend with baby alpaca, I believe. So it's really soft, and I think alpaca is really warm. So I was thinking of this sweater as like an elevated version of another brown sweatshirt that I have. So yeah, I'm really excited to get a lot of wear out of this winter. Last year when I made this video, I also talked about goals for the next year at the end of the video, and I kind of wanted to do that again. So this year was the first year that my channel was monetized, which is super exciting, but I also hit that goal with the very first video that I posted this year. So it was a little bit overwhelming to hit that goal so fast. Next year, one of my goals is to try to create even better videos for you guys and try not to get stressed out about the deadline, meaning I want to work ahead a little bit more or pick video topics that won't take me too much time so that I can kind of not be stressed about the end product, because I feel like there were a couple of videos there where I was a little bit stressed, and there was one where I worked pretty late to try to get it done in time for my like deadline or my video schedule. Last year I said one of my goals for this year was to make less videos so that I could work on my pattern shop with that extra time. And I did make less videos, but I did not work on the pattern shop. And the reason is because I am kind of discouraged with the use of AI on Etsy, and especially with AI sewing patterns. I feel like it dilutes the real sewing patterns that are on the platform. So I don't really know where to go with my pattern shop actually. And this might be a question that I explore more on this channel as well. But yeah, I did post less videos, meaning I posted way less short form this year. And a goal of mine for next year is to actually post short form when it seems appropriate. Just try to get into a better headspace about posting short form, because sometimes I used to feel like it was a little bit discouraging since the videos were so fleeting and the audience that I would get from those videos were kind of fleeting as well. So I kind of want to have a better relationship with short form, because I do think that it would be helpful for me to post some every now and again, especially when a project is kind of like a simple one that maybe doesn't require a long form video. And then lastly, I really want to develop into my own personal style a little bit more, and probably talk about that on this channel, and create new clothes to fill the gaps in my closet. And I will probably talk about that more on my channel, because that is something I'm really interested in. I think I'm just like a really functional type of person. So I think that's why I'm really interested in making sure that I'm wearing everything that's in my closet. So I've kind of been thinking about making sure that all my clothes are in a closet app. I had one back when I was like in high school, but I think all that data is like gone from that app now. But I really want to have the statistics of like how often I wear pieces, because that would be really useful for me and kind of validating, I guess. So I'm going to be taking a little bit of a winter break so that I can clean up my studio and have everything in order for the new year. So I think my next video would have been posted on the first full week of January, but I'm gonna skip that one and go to the third week of January. So I hope you come back to my channel in the new year. And I am really excited to use this winter break to clean out my closet and clean up my studio. And I'm really excited to explore more of my personal style on this channel. So I think the first step of that is to, do a really deep closet clean out, and I'm really excited to do all of that because I have a lot of clothes that just sit there that are just not my style anymore, but I am such a hoarder, so it's really hard for me to let go of those pieces, but I think it's time. But yeah, that is all for today's video and for the year. So I hope you have a happy new year, and I'll see you next year. Bye.